Aloha and welcome to the live OHA at Large Candidate Forum presented by Rotary in Hawaii. I'm Kathleen Pulama Merriam and we are so happy to be presenting tonight with you. I'm the Assistant Governor with Rotary, and to my right is Sandy Matsui. She is the past District Governor. And to my left is Barry Harris. He is the President of the Rotary Club of Kaneohe. We are so happy to be hosting tonight. We extended an invitation to all of the candidates, and tonight we have 3 of them. We are very, very honored to have our 3 candidates with us, and we will begin shortly. But we really want you to know that this is how you can tune in. We are live on Olelo's channel 53. We are live streaming on OleloNet. We are on Olelo's YouTube and Olelo's Facebook. So we will be making the live available to the neighbor islands, and if you're watching on a neighbor island, we especially welcome you. So Rotary in Hawaii, we thought that it was important for folks to know more about OHA and also the candidates, because don't forget the ballots are coming this week. You might have even received it. So it's more important than ever to know more about OHA and who are the candidates. So we want to get started, but we also have a short video so you could know a little bit more about Rotary.
Teamwork is your key to success. Individually, we are just one drop, but together, we are an ocean of resources. The strength of your team is each individual member, and the strength of each member is your team. A'ohe hananui ke alu ia, which in Hawaiian means no task is too big when done together by all. Together, we have the power to serve with aloha and change lives. As in the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., to serve, you only need a heart full of grace and a soul generated by love. In other words, lead and serve with the spirit of aloha in a loving, caring way. This is the time to build teams and trust. This is the time to come together. You have the power to make a difference. This is the time to serve with aloha to change lives.
So let's get started. Again, we are so happy to have the 3 candidates that responded to us so positively. Our 3 gentlemen, Mr. Brickwood Galateria, Mr. Sam King, and Mr. Chad Owens. So our plan is to simply go through questions, and by the way, these questions were compiled by various Rotary clubs throughout the island. We have 53 Rotary clubs statewide, and so people are really interested in each of you and the issues. And so we compiled these questions, and we'll just go through one by one. We're thinking about 90 seconds being the max, and then we'll rotate who would be first on each question. And so why don't we start out? I have the first question, so we'll start with you, Mr. Galateria, if that's okay. The question is, please start out with sharing about yourself and why you are running.
Thank you very much. Mahalo no aloha, aloha guys. Yes, sir. Aloha, I'm Brickwood Galataria, a candidate for Trustee at Large, Office of Hawaiian Affairs. Over the last decade, I've served as a Hawaii State Senator. Working alongside dedicated men and women has been an honor and experience of a lifetime. As public servants, we're trained to analyze and understand issues, evaluate the different parties' positions, and come up with solutions that work for the greater good. And to me, that's the essence of public service. Duty of care is at the heart of everything I do. As a retired state senator, and I've served on the board of many nonprofit organizations that include disability, disenfranchised, and arts and culture. I've served on the board of the Hawaii Special Olympics, the Association of Retired Citizens, the Polynesian Voyaging Society, the Hawaii Academy of Recording Arts, and much more. I presently serve as a Kaihao Church trustee, and I'm a member of the council, the Oahu Island Burial Council. I intend to bring all of this knowledge and experience to the trusteeship of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. I want to take this opportunity to thank Rotary, to thank you, the viewers, to thank our colleagues who stepped up to the plate. Mahalo.
Thank you very much. And Mr. King.
Hello, mai kako. I'm Sam Kalani Kapua King. I want to reiterate what Brickwood said. Mahalo to Rotary, mahalo to all the panelists, mahalo to my fellow candidates who came here today. I was really excited to see us come. I'm sad that not all the candidates were here. I think it's really vital that we participate in democracy. And that's really what I'm passionate about, is democracy, freedom of religion, equality before the law. These are the principles that drive me. I was born and raised in Kaneohe, right here in Honolulu. I'm married to a local girl, born and raised in Kaneohe. I got 2 boys. I went to Punahou School 13 years. I went to Georgetown University, majored in Middle East regional studies of all things. I did international development, international work. I came back home and I went to UH Law School, focused on land use, and I got the chance to work at the Supreme Court, clerking under Justice Richard Pollack. I got the chance to work in a law firm on real estate development law, and now I get a chance to do vendor contracts and real estate leasing for a major health insurance company. I'm the president of my homeowners association. I'm the executive director of Native Hawaiian organizations like Ohanaki Lohoku that support astronomy and space programs, and Imua TMT fighting for the 30-meter telescope and Pono construction of that project on Mauna Kea. And I bring these passions and this experience to the Office of Hawaiian Affairs in the hope that we can really drive OHA to focus on my #1 priority, which is early childhood education. So mahalo nui loa. Please vote Sam King.
Thank you, Mr. King. Aloha.
Hello, everyone. Chad Owens here. I'm a proud husband. To my beautiful wife, Rena Owens. I've got 3 amazing children: Chad Owens Jr., Ariana Owens, and Sierra Lynn Owens. I'm a former professional football player, former UH football player, and sports is my background. But the reason I'm running is because, and I want you to hear me on this, right? Because I am you. I am part of the struggle. I'm currently still struggling. I'm gonna be honest with you, right? I'm living and walking these struggles every single day, and my whole career I've fought and found a way to get it done. I've overcome adversities, and I believe today we're facing some of the greatest challenges as Hawaiians that we've ever faced, and that's why I'm running, right? So I'm here for you. I'm here to service you, service our people. And with my sports background, my relentless attitude, my ability to just win no matter what, that's what I bring to the table. And so you can trust that I'm going to do everything that I can with these 2 hands, the way I've done it my entire career. That's what you're going to get in Chad Owens for OHA at large. I'm excited, and I cannot wait to start on this journey. Mahalo again for having us. This is a beautiful set. And I feel like I'm back in Canada because it's nice and chilly in here.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. And then we'll move to question 2, and then we'll start then with you, Mr. King. Barry?
All right, Mr. King, we'll start with you. Why should anyone care about OHA?
It's a good question. I'm I've been walking around knocking on doors, talking to a lot of people in this town, and a lot of people don't know what the Office of Hawaiian Affairs does. But the fundamental reason to care about OHA is that what's good for Native Hawaiians is good for the people of Hawaii. And what's good for the people of Hawaii is going to be good for the Office of Hawaiian Affairs and the Native Hawaiian people. And OHA has $600 million. It's getting $21.5 million a year from the legislature. That money can be spent effectively and wisely, and it should be, because if it is, that will better the condition of Native Hawaiians. OHA has existed for 44 years. Native Hawaiians are still suffering from the highest rates of poverty in this state. That's not acceptable to me. The number one solution is to focus on early childhood education. If I don't say that enough tonight, if you don't know that I'm the guy that loves early childhood education, then I've failed. But I'm sure you will know by the time we're done. Because early childhood education is the thing that's proven to stabilize families, reduce incarceration rates, and create long-term income gains. And those are all the things that are afflicting Native Hawaiian community. That's what I'm passionate about. That's why people should care about the Office of Hawaiian Affairs, because that's going to help all of us lift all our boats.
Thank you. Mr. Owens?
Why should you care about OHA? Well, that's because OHA cares about you, number one. Like Sam said, I mean, OHA has the resources to do so much, and we're still not getting what's rightfully ours. We deserve a whole lot more when it comes to that ceded land trust monies. And we're continuing to fight for that. But that's the main reasons, right? OHA cares for you. Their hearts are in the right place. We have this vision, we have the resources, but we need to, for me, I want to get out and talk to you. I want to see what the people are really needing. Because at the end of the day, right, none of us are in OHA yet, right? So until that happens, we're not going to be able to get in there and see the full game plan, see what's out there, right? We can only be on the outside. I'm on the outside right now, sort of speculating and assuming and guessing, but we have to get in there. And then once that happens, hey, now I want to get in front of you. We want to hear your voices and see what really needs to be done. And at that time, if there needs to be a game plan adjustment, then that's what we're going to do. But yeah, OHA cares about you, and OHA matters, not just for Hawaiians, but it matters for all of Hawaii.
It feels like a love fest. It is a love fest. because we all want the best for the people of Hawaii. Now, there's a value proposition for being Hawaiian in Hawaii. Okay, there's no doubt about that. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs, by its very name, is, if not at the tip of the spear, a major part of the front line of the advocacy for the Lahui. As a governmental apparatus, now, it has the heft and it has I guess you could say, the impact within the bureaucracy itself. So it's important that we take advantage of that because it's already lodged in the government. Now, to that end, everyone and everything that OHA touches affects everybody, okay? Not only the ones with the koko, not only us who have the bloods, but also the non-Hawaiians. Because as Sam was explaining to you, what's good for the Hawaiian is good for all of Hawaii. So you have a vested interest in OHA's success, and that's why you should care about OHA. Thank you.
Aloha. And we're going to start the next question with you, Mr. Owens. What is the most important issue that OHA needs to address?
Great question. What's the most important issue? I don't know if you can put one over the other. I think all issues need to be addressed. Just laying it all out there, right? Cost of living, housing. But for me, Sam touched on this earlier. I think there's a huge, and this is just from my personal experience thus far, there's a huge disconnect from the people and OHA. So many people still don't know what OHA does. They still don't know how much money they've put out and have given to people, to charities, and all the help that they've provided. They don't know. So I feel one of the challenges is that we need to bridge that gap of putting it out there, right? Getting more into the public. For me, I'm a big social media person. So I think in today's society, that's the media. That's mainstream. And so I'd like to see more people get involved. I'd like to see OHA out there more. And I think if we can bridge that gap, I think if we can connect those dots, then I think the support will continue to rise as well. So, like I said, we have to get in first, then we can dissect and then prioritize, what should be taken care of first. But I believe all issues need to be resolved.
OHA fulfills its mandate through advocacy and land management, community engagement, community programs and such, and it's doing its best to attain that mission. No priority I just mentioned or that Chad's mentioned has priority over the other, I think. All have equal standing. Now to that end, OHA can, must, and will do more with our leadership if we're blessed to get in there. Certainly, I'm going to add one more priority, and that would be OHA's political effectiveness. Okay, as a legislator, I would observe Native Hawaiians' inability to speak in a cohesive fashion. That is really important because mixed signals do not bode well in politics. Okay, bear that in mind. Conversely, a disciplined voting bloc can really get some things done because the legislators cannot deny discipline in the vote. So let's strengthen, mobilize, and amplify the Kanaka vote, number one. Okay, and I'll end with this. Back in 1978, when OHA was created, the idea was that it was the fourth branch of Hawaii state government, the fourth wheel, if you will, co-equal to the other branches, executive, legislative, judicial. Now, it has not come close to it, but we want to seek that full potential for OHA. And so that's one of the things that I'd like to, that's an important issue for me. Thank you very much.
I take a little bit of a different stance on it because if there's one reason you're just tuning in that you should vote for me, Sam King for OHA, is because I'm a man of action. The thing that OHA should be focused on is early childhood education. One of the biggest problems OHA has is that everybody wants it to be everything to everybody. It doesn't have enough money for that. What it needs to do is cut to the chase. It needs to look at the thing that's most effective, most impactful on reducing poverty in the Native Hawaiian community. And that's early childhood education. There's endless studies on this. You can check out my website, votesamking.com, go to the issues page, check out about early childhood education, the Perry Preschool Project. That is the thing that OHA needs to be focused on. I don't want to hear excuses about how it's commitment of school's job, it's the DOE's job. I hear this all the time. OHA can do more. Now, does that mean they shouldn't do anything else? No. OHA's got money and it's got funds and it's got connections to build partnerships. It can join in housing developments. It can look at ways we can do things more effectively, especially, and even in early childhood education, even with nonprofits, even with the charter schools. It should do all of that, but it needs to start focusing on the highest priority thing, the thing that's most efficient. And that's what I've done in my life, is try to focus on the priorities, and that is what early childhood education is all about. Getting that done, focusing OHA's money on that is what's going to start shifting the needle on poverty in the Native Hawaiian community.
Thank you. So our next question has to do with these very issues that you three mentioned. So what is your unique experience in helping with these issues? Can we go to you, Brickwood?
I'm up.
Okay.
You know, among the mixed skills and experiences I bring, the value of civic engagement, okay, the knowledge of governance, the subtleties of how government works. That's what I bring to the table. I understand the give and take required when crafting policy and legislation. I have an innate ability to bring people together. I was known in the legislature as, and the Senate, I was a Senate leader, majority and caucus leader. You know that you could rely on Brickwood Galutaria to be responsible and prudent and always conducting myself in a business-like manner and social when appropriate. Creating broad policy is a complex visionary process. And so when I was in the Senate, I was a part of the Ways and Means Committee. I was closely involved in the budget process. In addition, I served as chair of the Hawaiian Affairs Committee and the Tourism Committee. And those assignments provided me access to the budget of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. So what do I bring to the table? I bring experience. Thank you very much.
Well, what I bring to the table is that I'm an attorney, so I understand the legal procedures that OHA has to follow. Like I've been a board president for 5 years of my homeowners association, which seems like a small thing, except when you got a $3 million wastewater project that you got to bring in on time, on budget, which I was able to do. You got to manage personalities. You got to know how to read people and get things done on time. I'm the head of various nonprofit organizations, understand how to build those relationships, build those partnerships in the community, and how to take action. People saw that I got involved with the 30-meter telescope project when those protests were blown up in 2019. I took a stand. Not everybody agreed with me, but I took a stand, and I got people to rally and say, look, this is something we believe in. It's not just something we're going to let fall to the wayside. That's what I'm going to bring to OHA. I'm going to bring that focus. I mean, my big thing is early childhood education, right? But I'm not a teacher. I'm not an educator. But I know how to look at the data. I know how to analyze the citations and get to the bottom of it, which is why I think that early childhood education is the #1 thing OHA needs to be focusing on. So that's what I'm going to bring to the table. I got that drive. I've got that experience. And I know not just about bureaucracy and legal niceties, but I've also been a real estate attorney, right? I understand OHA's land use plans, their management, and the struggles they're going to face in any development project they've got with all of their property management. So please vote for me.
All right, when it comes to experience, understand one thing. This is going to take a team effort. This ain't about me. This ain't a me thing. It's a we thing. So we have to, the board of trustees that get assembled, we have to work together. We, as trustees and our beneficiaries, right, our lahui, we should collectively be working together to rise, right, to get things accomplished. And that's what I bring to the table. I bring that teamwork, that understanding that, hey, it's not about me. It's about working with the person next to me. It's about bringing my work ethic to the table. It's about bringing my experience in finding a way to win. And I think that's where we're at right now. We've sort of come to like a standstill, and it happens. It's called getting into a slump. And sometimes you just need some new energy, right? You might need to call a different play. But I'm going to be bringing that experience to be able to shake things up and really focusing on how we together can get it done.
Thank you, gentlemen. For our next question, we'll be starting with you, Mr. King. You all are vying for the same position, and I'm sure you've done your research with OHA. That being said, does OHA have a creative plan or program for housing and development?
Well, that's tough to answer outright because OHA's plan for housing is to, do more housing projects. But one of the things that OHA does that has a challenge is OHA's got a responsibility for Iwi Kupuna and various archaeological finds. And there's a tension there where OHA is always fighting against any new home developments. So one of the things that would be nice to see OHA do is start trying to get ahead of the ball, maybe trying to see like where can people build things, where can we look at heavy archaeological sites and say, okay, maybe don't look at this spot, maybe look at a different spot, right? And there's Kaka'ako Makai, which is clearly an underutilized resource. There's a huge conversation to have with the community about whether or not there's homes there, whether or not there's development. I think that's a very important conversation to have. And that is the way you move Hawaii forward. I mean, housing is not just a Native Hawaiian issue. That is an everybody in Hawaii issue. That's an everybody conversation. And so the Office of Hawaiian Affairs should definitely be engaged in that. But like I said, getting out ahead of the ball with, looking around the state and saying, these are spots that we're going to have the least amount of resistance, I think would be really, really valuable.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I've been saying this for a long time. When it comes to OHA, right, we should be doing more collaborations, right? Why can't we work with DHHL more and finding a way to get it done? At the end of the day, right, we are all, like I talk about we are all doing this for the same reasons, right? To better our people. And if the Hawaiians are in housings, if they have homes, it's gonna help the rest of Hawaii, in my opinion. Right? That's what needs to be done. When it comes to Kaka'ako Makai, I'm not so sure if that's the best place for housing. I think there might be some spots where it'll be okay, but I know we're gonna talk about that later. But I just feel like there needs to be more of a collaborative effort with DHHL and things like that. So Time will tell.
Housing is a moving target. You know, those who provide housing know that the emergency, transitional, long-term, and permanent housing are the four categories. And then, of course, there's affordable housing. Right now, OHA leverages partnerships with different organizations, and they're doing a good job at it with what they have to work with. But in terms of the Hawaiian homelands, OHA does do, and they support enabling legislation for what has been given to Hawaiian homelands and what is going to be received in the coming years. Now, recognizing the complexities, the recommendations for OHA collaborations, as Chad was explaining, and Sam as well, I would put on that list the Hawaii Public Housing Authority, HHFDC, the Hawaii Housing Finance and Development Authority, Hawaii Housing Alliance, the homeless agencies as well, the Hawaii State Department of Human Services. I would even include in this array of partnerships and collaboration civic clubs and Native Hawaiian organizations and other cultural organizations that expand into this range of services. That's how I would take a look at the OHA program for housing. Thank you.
Mahalo. So now can you please share with us what is the number one issue that you would like to address and advocate for if you were elected, and why are you the best person to do so? And we'll start with you, Mr. Owens.
Great. I'm just going to start with my passion, right? It's health and wellness. I've talked about thriving before as a people, as a Hawaiian culture, and I think we lead the way. We're up there, right? Hawaiians and Polynesians in, diabetes, high blood pressure, and things like that. And I'm a big advocate for health and wellness, and I'd love to just pour my heart into sort of changing that culture. There's nothing wrong with, being happy and eating certain foods and doing that, but I think there needs to be a balance. And my background in sports, my background in fitness, and just my passion for living a healthy, not just physically, but mentally, right? Health and wellness is an overall thing. And coming out of this pandemic, right, the rates of suicide, the mental health issues, to me, that's, and the lack of housing, it's causing a really, really, rise in the mental health issues even more. So health and wellness, to me, is a starting point, because if we're not right with ourselves physically, mentally, emotionally, we're not going to be able to pour into our ohana. We're not going to be able to pour into others, and we're not going to be able to achieve the things we want to achieve in life. And at the end of the day, right, we're just not going to be happy. Nothing's going to satisfy us. And so I'm a big advocate for health and wellness, and that's going to be one of my main objectives.
I find that I don't disagree with anything my colleagues are saying. And I hope to embed all of these ideas into policy, which is where the action is for me. So politics and advocacy are all about relationships. I maintain good relationships with those on the 4th floor, the 5th floor, the 2nd and 3rd floors, as well at the Capitol. I'd like OHA to continue these relationships, continue strengthening the bonds between the state government, the federal government, and the Office of Hawaiian Affairs. In addition to that, further explore advocacy policies for to support Native Hawaiian self-determination. But what's important too is to realize that we're going through a change. We're all calling for change at the Office of Hawaiian Affairs in different ways. Several months away from a new administration, state administration. Let's bear that in mind. The legislature will be confirming department heads, and as soon as that's done, OHA will be at the table determining the future relationship with the state government, with the new governor, with the new Senate, perhaps, with the new leadership. And so my advocacy and my number one issue is to continue the ongoing policy level of communication with the current and the new leadership of the state of Hawaii.
Well, I think I made that clear. My number one issue is early childhood education. And what that means is targeting kids 0 to 3, 0 to 5 years old, and also including a component for parent training. Because, man, I got 2 kids, and parenting is hard. Parents need help too, man. And parents, you guys all know that. You all out there, you know that. And that's the thing that's going to really bring Native Hawaiian poverty to an end. All the things about health, all the things about housing, all those things are tied up in that early childhood education puzzle. If we get to Keiki when they're youngest, that's what's going to build their positive emotional social skill set and be able to stack over time. And it's important to mention, I've been in churches, I've been out with various groups, and everyone's got a tie-in to early childhood education. There's people who want to teach about LGBT issues. There's people that don't want to teach about it. There's people who want to teach about genders. There's people who want to teach about religion. And the thing I want to make sure everyone knows is you can focus on the curriculum and let people have their own teaching, education, community on the side. It doesn't have to be OHA says you must believe this or do this. It's about finding that centric curriculum, like the high scope program, Perry Preschool Project. Again, votesamking.com, you can look it up. But then you can have grant programs for nonprofits like Keiki Okaina, that Queen Galileo Kalani Trust, that do these different things from different approaches, from different communities, that people can choose which one to go to. They don't have to pick just one OHA thing. OHA should be looking at it, but they should be focusing on early childhood education.
Mahalo.
Okay, so we like this next round of questions. This is about TMT. So would you share your views on TMT and then what you think OHA should do about TMT? And we're back to you, Brickwood.
I'm number one on this one?
You are number one.
Okay. No pressure. Hey, you guys, is it cold in here or what?
I mean, yeah, it's like,
I need
take your
some of
time,
that heat
take
from
your
Mauna
time.
Kea.
delay a little bit.
Mauna Kea is sacred. Okay, let's make that point clear. Sacredness is subjective. Let's make that point clear too. What I may find sacred, you may not. My hope is that you respect my thoughts, right? So I support culture and science. Both can and must exist together. I supported the TMT on Mauna Kea for what it provides humanity. Unless something compels me to decide otherwise, I'll continue that way. Management of Mauna Kea has been a big concern for me. It's critically important. The legislature is recommending a new management agency. I hope this working group has balance and respect for each member on the table. Culture and science can and must work together. Any changes, by the way, that occurs is going to be important for the relevant stakeholders. But I want to say this one thing, and I'll be very, very brief. Mauna Kea is the best platform for us to view our own creation. So bear that in mind, okay? In the Kumulipo, it refers to the black hole. The best place on earth to view the black hole is Mauna Kea. You make your decisions on that.
I passionately support the construction of the TMT project on Mauna Kea in a way that is pono and builds positive relationships. We have talked about TMT for 15 years, and we've had multiple studies and Supreme Court decisions and contested case hearings. It has gone through the ringer and has been found to be an excellent project. But the reason I love it and support it is not just the legal niceties of it all. It is about perpetuating and celebrating our cultural heritage of celestial navigation and natural observation. And that's a beautiful thing to me. I mean, I've met the students I've worked with, I've started nonprofits with the astronomers and space scientists who are now just coming out of the industry we've been building for decades. We've been working on astronomy and space science for decades, and just now we're bearing fruit. And if we stop TMT now, what I'm afraid of is that the industry is going to take a critical blow. It'll still be around, it can still survive, but it's going to do so much damage to the research prospects for all of these guys like Makana Silva, Tyler Trent, Amory Mai Hong, Bryalyn Onodera, Heather Kaluna, Brittany Kamai. I mean, Paul Coleman was the first Native Hawaiian astronomer, astrophysics professor at University of Hawaii. He died fighting for this project. He died in the fight for this project. Kalepa Babayan supported this project. And in honor of their memory, I have to carry it on. But also in honor of our cultural heritage. It is going to be a fantastic project. And I think the new management structure has promise. I think those conversations are going to continue. And that'll be a good thing. But I think the project's really valuable.
Thank you, Sam.
Aloha, I am not in support of TMT for this main reason, right? Like Brickwood said, I am, support of science, and I love our culture. But our culture, to me, this this is why I'm doing this. You know, our culture has given up so much already. And our people, right, they are against TMT. They don't want it. And I stand with our people. That land is sacred. And it's more about, it's their church. It's their mauna, and it has its place in our ecosystem. And science, there's so much more that we can do in Hawaii. We can take science and go in other areas and develop. And when it comes to that particular project, right now, we are not getting the money that we rightfully deserve and should be owed from those buildings. And so, Aole TMT.
Mahalo.
All right, as we talk about history and culture, what should OHA do to educate visitors about Hawaii's history, specifically historical sites? And does OHA have a role in acknowledging these things? Mr. King, we'll start with you.
I think OHA can play a role in that. I think it's important to apply rigor to any of that. I mean, Mauna Kea TMT is a perfect example, right? People talk about Mauna Kea being sacred, and that's true if you believe in the ancient Kapu religion. But the thing people don't know is that, you know, in 1819, we destroyed that religion. Our ali'i, right? Queen Kahumanu, Queen Keopuolani, Kamehameha II, we decided that we were going to declare religious freedom in Hawaii. The Kapu theocracy was no longer going to oppress us, and therefore, we were going to have freedom, Ainoa. And we had a civil war over that. I don't even think people realize there was a Hawaiian civil war on that exact issue. So looking at Mauna Kea saying it's sacred, yes, you can believe that, but there's also the fact that it is also the best place in the world to see the stars, and you cannot have religious restrictions alone control land use decisions in Hawaii. Not even to mention the fact that people like Kahuna Leimomi Lum has a beautiful vision that says, if you're collecting starlight on Mauna Kea, that's honoring the sacred nature of Mauna Kea. And we just had the opportunity to do a stargazing event at Mo'okini Heiau on the Big Island at Leimomi Lum's invitation. And it was a beautiful blending and realization that science, astronomy, it is our culture. It's not a question of whether or not science and culture are working together. Science is our culture. That is who we are. We are natural observers. We are navigators. That's where we come from. So TMT, Mauna Kea, all those things, yes, OHA can be involved in those historical properties if they apply rigor to their analysis.
As far as, you know, educating our visitors on culture, I'm going to take this moment to talk about Kaka'ako Makai. I think that is the perfect area to develop like a Hawaiian cultural center. You know, cultural. When I say culture, it's our arts. You know, anything to do with our culture. You know, we can bring people down there and show them, have them experience, get hands-on, because that's what the Hawaiian people are about, hands-on. I'd love to see that become a sort of business, cultural center development where we can utilize that space, we can make money, and it's educating our visitors on our culture, on the things, you know, we've been experiencing. Right? The to-dos, the not to-dos, and just giving them an experience that they remember, you know, and again, it's keeping it cultural.
Hey Chad, thanks for mentioning Kaka'ako, because I negotiated the Kaka'ako deal for OHA when I was in the state senate. I negotiated that deal. An area I've always thought OHA was deficient in was the relationship with the Hawaii visitors industry. Clearly, it should be driving Kanaka perspective into our number one economic driver. So reflecting back to the time when I was a Senate chair of the Hawaiian Affairs and Tourism Committee, we looked at the tourism strategic plan. It had 9 different strands that included communications, access points, let me see what else, Hawaiian culture, natural resources, 9 of them. Anyway, fast forward, I had a conversation with the then HTA chair, Mike McCartney, and I said, let's take the Hawaiian culture strand and turn it horizontal so that it's through all of the different strands, the vertical strands. Because Hawaiian culture didn't need a bigger place at the table because we are the table. That's what I told him. To his credit, he started to bring in more Hawaiians to the table at the Hawaii Visitors Bureau. And now we have a Hawaiian running it, John DeFries. I think he's doing a good job, destination management, and this is where OHA should do and concentrate some of its efforts going forward.
Mahalo. Can you tell us more about what OHA has done to alleviate poverty in the Native Hawaiian community? And what would you do to address this issue?
It's on me, right? Yeah, like I said it before, OHA gives out millions upon millions of dollars each and every year, but a lot of people don't hear about it. We don't see it. And for me, I'd like to see that. I'd like to be able to bridge that gap to show what OHA is doing, to put them out there more so they can get that respect and they can be in the know. And people aren't asking questions. It's amazing how many people still think OHA is DHHL, right? Hawaiian Home, like they intertwine the two. And, you know, so OHA, like I said, they've given millions upon millions. And yeah, we have a lot of money, but there's still more out there to get. And, you know, as soon as we're able to get those monies that's rightfully ours, we can continue to build upon that trust and do more. So that's what I'd like to do, is be able to bring that, bridge the gap, and provide more of that public, be in the public eye more, just show, you know, what we're doing. More events, maybe, you know?
Poverty is systematic in this case. And nobody wants to be poor, nobody wants to struggle from day to day, but it's happening. You know, need more money for food and clothing and medicine. Poverty is also complex in that it overlaps with many other social ills. So, and in addition to that, let me say that systematic poverty is generational, so it's not a quick fix. So I think for starters, collaboration is essential. And so putting together a hui, and I'm not saying it's not being done already, but let me just suggest that we first start recognizing the government entities and organizations dedicated to the mission of eradicating poverty, and we marry them up with, since we're talking Kanaka poverty and economic stability, align them with groups in the Kanaka Maoli community, long-standing groups such as the civic clubs, the benevolent societies, along with the trusts, put together a hui, the Native Hawaiian Chamber of Commerce Association, put that together with nonprofits, Department of Hawaiian Homelands, the CNHA groups, those who deal with the federal and state levels, and come up with a final group, maybe even add the faith-based organizations. Sheer strength of this impact will impact economic stability for Native Hawaiians and all the people of Hawaii.
I think, you know, to acknowledge what OHA has done is, I think during the pandemic, OHA was working really hard to get emergency aid out and trying to get the word out about, you know, the vaccines and all the health responses. But I do worry about what OHA has done, because OHA has spent millions of dollars, but we're still suffering from the highest rates of poverty in the state of Hawaii. And, you know, we have Bishop Estate with billions of dollars, Queen Liliuokalani Trust, Queen Emma Trust. We have all these elite trusts, CNHA, all these organizations, civic clubs. But there doesn't seem to be that focus on alleviating poverty, that partnership that I think OHA could help convene. And I think everybody here said it's bad, you know, Chad and Brickwood have emphasized those partnerships, that teamwork. That's vital. That's super important. And I think that's what everybody wants, right? Our Lahui wants that community. We want that communication. We want that working together, you know, ehana kako. But the number one thing that OHA should be doing is focusing on early childhood education. And if you're just tuning in, I definitely think OHA should be focusing on early childhood education. You should vote for Sam, because I support early childhood education. And that's the thing that's going to alleviate poverty in the Native Hawaiian community. That's been shown. The federal government's already spending money on this all the time because it's so effective. And you can enhance those projects. You can build on that. You can get in touch with the Executive Office on Early Learning. You can get in touch with Queen Liliuokalani Trust. You can get in touch with Keikiokaina, all these organizations, and really build that network. OHA should be part of those conversations and should be funneling money into that.
Mahalo. Kelly?
Okay, so we would like to know, how could you increase the transparency about real estate and financial status of OHA? And back to you, Brickwood.
I'm up.
You are.
Well, I think we should talk about childhood education, early childhood education first.
Now, I agree. You know, early childhood education is the number one thing OHA should focus on.
Now, how would we increase transparency about real estate and financial status? Any and every agency that deals in the public trust must be held accountable. But you do that certain ways, you know, a disciplined approach to evaluate and improve effectiveness in these particular areas, real estate, financial status, and more. So I'm going to take it to the 30,000 foot level. I look at audits as a means by which to improve overall business efficiency, transparency, as you've asked, build relationship among the stakeholders. Trust is important here, meet legal and regulatory compliances, as well as keep up with the ever-changing dynamic of the, you know, the transparency of the OHA. Now, I believe that OHA is doing a good job moving in this right direction. There are a few of the trustees who have advocated for audits, and I agree with them. And so I believe they're moving in the right direction, and I would want OHA to continue its auditing practices to bring more transparency to the real estate and financial status of the Office of Hawaiian Affairs.
Well, to paraphrase my grandfather, I can spell fiduciary. So it's really important to maintain those fiduciary duties. I mean, I've had that experience, right? I've been on a board. My homeowners in my building have trusted me for years to watch over their money, watch over that process. And that's what experience I'm going to bring to OHA. And I've been a real estate attorney, so I understand these things. And there's a number of things. I mean, you want to get me fired up, talk about early childhood education. But if you want to get me fired up in something else, it's transparency at OHA and land use. I mean, there's the CLA audit that came out. They're red flagging millions of dollars in procedures because OHA is not following its own processes. That audit should be followed through. Every single one of those things should be run down. And I commend Keli Aquino for spearheading that process and all the trustees that supported him. That needs to be pushed forward more. And OHA should immediately release the executive session minutes that they have. I mean, OHA has these executive session minutes that the state auditor wants to get from OHA, and OHA is fighting against the auditor, which doesn't even make sense because the auditor is a state agent. I mean, it could be still confidential to the state, but there's no reason for one state agency to be hiding from another state agency. That makes OHA look guilty. What are they hiding? What could you possibly say in executive session minutes that's worth a Supreme Court fight or, you know, circuit court fight, whatever? They're going up, I'm sure. It's just, they got to release that. They should release it immediately. That's how you build trust in the community. You know, I've been knocking door to door, like DHHL, you know, Hawaiian Homelands. People are like, when was the last time OHA trustees showed up here? Never. They don't know anything about it. And then they read that news story. They're like, forget it, whatever. Why pay attention? They're just wasting all the money. So I think releasing that kind of stuff is vital.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I mean, I can't agree more. Audits, maybe an outside company to sort of handle the books. You know, being a former pro athlete, you know, I was part of collective bargaining agreements and, you know, ownerships, and, you know, at one point they were hiding their books. They couldn't, but until we're able to open those things up and actually see what's going on, the truth comes out. And so I definitely, you know, transparency. Personally, I'm just going to continue to hold my integrity. I'm going to do what I've been doing. That's integrity, hard work, and do the right thing. That's what I'm going to bring to the table. I'm going to advocate for that. And there should be transparency across the board with everything, right? You know, real estate, finances, everything. It should be transparent. The public should know what's going on, and it is about forming that trust. So I'm going to do my part. Like I said, I'm going to have that integrity, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Mahalo. So those were the bulk of our questions, and you each were so generous with your time and your answers, and such nice timekeepers. Our timekeeper's job tonight was really easy because you were so kind with each other, and we really appreciate that. And just you giving us this time, this venue, we are so grateful to Olelo, who's been an amazing teacher and partner in this. But because you've been so good, we actually have a little bit of time. We'd like to end it this way. So how about if we give you each a couple of minutes to just, you know, tell our viewers why they should vote and why they should vote for you You know, why is it? I mean, just imagine some people getting their ballots and maybe not being sure. I think we helped a lot tonight about what OHA is and about who you are, but there's still some people maybe that just need that extra little plug, and you have the time now to go ahead and say why people should vote for you. So, gosh, who do we say who starts? Well, whose turn would it be if it was normal? They're all pointing at each other.
I think
Who
I
would-
just finished.
who would
Rick
like to-
started, so it might be on.
Is it on me?
If it's in the same order, it's probably on Sam.
Is it on me?
Okay, then it
Yeah.
would be, well, let Sam
take it,
start.
that's fine.
See, aren't they nice? They're so
Childhood
nice to each
education.
other.
Early childhood education. That's what you need to know. If you take nothing else away from this, you should be focusing on early childhood education. That's the poverty alleviation tool that's going to be most effective. Like I said, go to my website. I've literally tried to do it. On votesamking.com, on my issues page, I try to put up research. You can dig into it, all this stuff about the Perry Preschool Project. You can find Heckman, this guy that does all this research and stuff. Just go start reading about it. It's incredible, and it's really something OHA can start focusing on. And I've been looking at their annual reports. They haven't been doing a lot of focus on it. There's been focus on charter schools and stuff, which is good, but it's not going to shift the needle as far as we need it. So that's number one. The other reason you should vote for me, like I said earlier, I'm a man of action. You know what I'm going to do because that's what I said I'm going to do. If I'm going to be fighting corruption, I'm going to be fighting corruption. If I'm going to push for audits, I'm going to push for audits. If minutes need to be released, we're going to work together to make sure that transparency is achieved in a way that's Pono, in a way that's fair to everybody. And that's something else that I actually want to make sure I emphasize. You know, nobody cares how much you know unless they know how much you care. And I've been working really hard on all these issues, on TMT, on the astronomy industry, on the space industry in the last several years. I've been focused on, you know, my family, my keiki, but I've been trying to realize that I have a kuleana in my family, right? My family goes way back in this town. I mean, a lot of people know my Judge King, my grandpa, and the lessons he taught me about giving back to the community, about that kuleana. And I carry that with me to realize that we really need to work together. Right? You know I'm passionate about TMT, but there's a perfect anecdote of how you can't just drive it through. You do need to enforce the law. You need to make sure if you come to a decision, you follow through on it. But you got to make sure that everybody's been talking to each other. Everybody feels heard. Everybody's had a seat at the table. And we've got to make sure that it's all done in a way that is Pono, that builds our community in a positive way. And that's what I really want to focus on. That's why I care about the things I care about. Early childhood education, that's our keiki, right? That's what we're going to care about. Fighting corruption, everybody agrees we shouldn't be wasting our money. Housing, everybody agrees we need homes for our keiki, for the people of Hawaii. And you know, that's what I really, really want to see more of at OHA. I want to see that focus on achieving the goal of bettering the condition of Native Hawaiians, which to me means getting rid of all those statistics like the highest rates of poverty, the highest rates of diabetes, homelessness. And if you're just tuning in, it comes down to early childhood education. That's what it's all about.
Okay,
Mahalo nui loa.
Mr. Sam King. Now, Mr. Chad Owen.
Yeah, well, aloha everyone, and you know, thank you guys so much for tuning in. This was a great opportunity to share, you know, our thoughts. And you know, in closing, why Chad Owens for OHA at large? You know, it's for me, it's I don't want to say it's personal, but it kind of is. I have sat on the outside, sort of from the sidelines, for a long time, right? And I've watched and looked at issues and looked at things, and I felt like it was time for me to get in the game, right? You know, you guys know my background as an athlete, as a football player. If you don't know my story, you know, nothing was provided for me. I had to walk on to University of Hawaii. I earned my scholarship. I ended up, you know, getting drafted and still earning my stripes, grinding it out, adversity after adversity after adversity. And, you know, here I am today still fighting. I'm right alongside you, fighting. I'm not by no means financially free, living this retired life. That's not my current situation. I'm literally you, okay? So if you're gonna vote for someone that you believe has what it takes to fight and overcome, it's like if I'm in, you will be right there with me. And that's why I'm doing this, because, and I believe I can get it done alongside the rest of the team. I have what it takes, but you guys are the coach, you guys are the GM right now. You guys have the power to get me in the game. And with that, I'd love your support. I want to love your vote. Chad Owens for OHA at large. Mahalo.
Mahalo to you. And Mr. Brickwood
Yeah,
Galataria.
so we end where we began, huh?
Yes.
Well, I must say, let me just begin with these final thoughts that I'm so honored to be on this table with the two of you guys. Okay, because Sam, you got this depth of comprehension that is top shelf. And Chad, you know, I want to suit up and get out on the field after I hear you talking, man. And the fact that we're out on the field right now speaks a lot. And so to everyone watching, you know, we're asking you to trust us with your most trusted possession, which is your vote. And so, of course, I'm asking for your vote. The same way Sam is asking. And don't forget about early childhood education. And of course, you know, Chad is here asking for the same thing. I just want to say that politicians are people too, okay? We have families, we have highs, we have lows. But I want to close with a very sensitive topic, and this is kind of weird to end this way, but it kind of lends itself to this entire discussion. Corruption, we talked about that corruption by public officials must never be tolerated, because we're here asking for your trust, which is something that you don't give to anybody. Okay, we may have missed a filing deadline, or we may have, you know, we missed an ethics report, oops. And that's on us, because we're human too. But to breach the public trust is a disgrace, period. And I'm a politician, and I'm asking for your vote. So there's a couple of guardrails that we can use, and we're about to say goodnight, so okay, we're gonna end this shortly. But in some cases, term limits, okay, as a guardrail. A lot of people advocate for term limits. Now remember, the skill set of politics has experience written all over it. So bear that in mind. Another guardrail, and I'm going to end with this, and I think these guys would appreciate it. Your vote is the guardrail. Okay, that's the highest guardrail we could possibly see. The best guardrail is your vote. And we're here asking you for the highest guardrail. Okay, so I'd like to thank the Rotary tonight on behalf of my colleagues, since I'm the last guy talking.
Mahalo.
I'd like to thank the viewers. We'd like to thank Olelo. And thank all of you guys for stepping up to the plate. And I look forward to serving with you.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Likewise.
Brickwood Galataria for OHA. Thank you, folks.
Oh, mahalo to you. Yes, and Barry, Sandy, and I want to thank all of the viewers for tuning in tonight to such a special evening. We've really enjoyed ourselves. We learned so much. Our candidates, a huge mahalo for taking the time to be with us. This was a very, very special evening. Olelo, you have been amazing to work with. What great partners. And lastly, we just want to say, if you'd like to learn a little bit more about Rotary, this is the kind of stuff we're really interested in. And so we hope you will learn a little bit more about us. We're at www.rotaryinhawaii.org. Lots of information on there for you. So again, we want to say good evening, aloha, and mahalo.